If you want to become smarter every single day, you don't need to wait for some big break, a miracle, or a life-changing event. The truth is much simpler. Your intelligence is shaped by the habits you build and the choices you make every single day. This audiobook is your roadmap. It is not theory, not empty motivation, but a collection of 25 daily actions that can transform the way you think, learn, and live. By the time you finish this journey, you will see clearly that intelligence isn't fixed, it's built. It's not about being born gifted. It's about feeding your mind, training your thoughts, and practicing the right habits over and over until they become part of who you are. This is not about complicated strategies that only a few can understand. These are simple practices that anyone, including you, can begin today. From reading more effectively, to reflecting on mistakes, to sharpening your focus, to connecting with the right people, every action is designed to make your mind sharper, your decisions clearer, and your life more intentional. And here's the secret. The transformation begins faster than you think. By applying these habits, you will start to notice small changes almost immediately. Your thinking becomes clearer. Your confidence grows. The way you handle stress and challenges shifts. Suddenly, life feels less overwhelming and more in your control. This audiobook is not about quick fixes. It's not about hype. It's about real, practical actions you can take today. Actions that build lasting intelligence, clarity, and resilience. Every chapter you'll hear is a tool. And when you use enough tools, you begin to build something powerful. A smarter version of yourself. So stay with this audiobook. Let each chapter sink into your mind. Apply what you learn. And commit not to perfection but to daily improvement. By the time you finish, you'll be equipped with strategies to think better, act wiser, and live with purpose. Chapter 1. Read one new book daily to expand knowledge. There is one practice that has stood the test of centuries. One habit that has shaped the greatest leaders, inventors, and thinkers in history. That habit is daily reading. Reading one new book every single day is more than a commitment to gather information. It is a commitment to reshape your mind. It is a conscious decision to step beyond the limits of your current knowledge, to challenge your assumptions, and to open the door to perspectives you never would have considered otherwise. When you make reading a daily ritual, you are doing much more than flipping through pages. You are engaging in one of the oldest and most powerful practices of human growth. Books are more than just ink and paper. They are lifetimes of wisdom compressed into a form you can absorb in hours. They give you access to the victories and failures of others without having to live through them yourself. Think about this. One book might contain the lessons of a leader who shaped history, the strategies of a business mind who built an empire, or the intimate reflections of someone who survived incredible struggle. Without books, you would never get to sit across from these people. With books, you can invite them into your life every single day. At first, the idea of reading one book per day might feel overwhelming. But here's the truth. It's not about speed. It's about consistency. The goal is not to race through books. The goal is to give your mind the food it needs. Even if you only walk away with one insight, one tool, or one perspective from a book, that's enough to move you forward. Just like your body needs daily exercise to stay strong, your mind needs daily reading to stay sharp. Reading is mental weightlifting. Each page is a rep. Each chapter is a set. And each book adds another layer of strength to your thinking. Why does reading transform people so powerfully? One word: perspective. Life can easily narrow into routines. You wake up, go to work, repeat the same thoughts, and live inside the bubble of your environment. Without realizing it, you begin to see the world only through the filter of your upbringing and your surroundings. But books break that cycle. They introduce you to minds that dared to think differently. A book on history will show you patterns that civilizations have repeated for centuries. The rise and fall of leaders, the dangers of arrogance, the importance of resilience. A book on psychology reveals the hidden motives behind human behavior, giving you an advantage in relationships, negotiations, and self-control. A book on science stretches your imagination to the edges of the universe and down into the smallest particles of life. Each subject you read about opens a new door. And when you walk through enough doors, You begin to see connections between fields that most people will never notice. Reading isn't about collecting random facts. It's about weaving a wide web of understanding that makes you wiser in every situation. Another hidden gift of daily reading is focus. In a world full of distractions, notifications, endless scrolling, shallow entertainment, reading forces your mind to slow down. It trains you to sit with a single subject for a long stretch of time. This discipline of focus is rare today, and yet it's one of the most valuable skills you can build. When you can give your full attention to a book, you train yourself to give full attention to your work, your relationships, and your goals. Reading also humbles you. The more you read, the more you realize how much you don't know. Each book reveals gaps in your understanding. But this humility is not weakness, it's strength. Because when you admit you don't have all the answers, you remain curious. And curiosity is the fuel of growth. People who think they already know everything stop learning. But people who stay curious never stop improving. Now let's talk about the practicality of it. Many people say, I don't have time to read a book every day. But that's not true. The time is there, you're just spending it elsewhere. Think of the hours lost to scrolling, sitting in traffic, or waiting in line. Those minutes add up. 30 minutes in the morning, 30 in the afternoon, and 30 at night can get you through a book. The key is not to wait for free time, it's to make time. And remember, not every book has to be heavy or academic. Wisdom is scattered across genres. A biography might teach you courage. A novel might show you the consequences of human choices. A self-development book might give you a practical tool for discipline. Rotate through different subjects and your mental library will become both deep and wide. There's another gift reading gives you: language. The more you read, the richer your vocabulary becomes. And language is the tool of thought. The more words you have, the more clearly you can think. The more clearly you can think, the more powerfully you can communicate. And the ability to communicate well is one of the greatest advantages you can carry into every area of life. Books also build emotional strength. Hidden within their pages are countless stories of struggle and triumph. When you read about someone who endured hardship and overcame it, you absorb their courage. You realize your own challenges are not unique, and that others before you have faced worse and still survived. This perspective gives you the strength to keep moving forward. And here's the most important part. Reading compounds. The benefit of reading today stacks on top of yesterday's. One book becomes 10. 10 become 100. And soon you have a mental arsenal that allows you to think, act, and solve problems in ways that once seemed impossible. By the end of 1 year, daily reading means you've consumed hundreds of books. And that level of wisdom will transform you into someone unrecognizable from who you are today. The decision to read daily is the decision to never stop growing. It requires no permission, no privilege, no special circumstance. Only the discipline to pick up a book and open it. A single book can change your life. But the discipline of reading one book every day, that can change who you are completely. This is where smarter living begins. If knowledge feeds the mind, then clarity sharpens it. One of the most powerful tools you will ever possess is the ability to think clearly, without confusion, without noise, without hesitation. And the fastest way to build that clarity is simple. Write your thoughts every single day. Most people live with a storm inside their head. Ideas, emotions, plans, worries. They swirl endlessly, never fully formed, never fully understood. You may think you are reflecting when in reality you are just recycling the same thoughts over and over again. That is not clarity, that is chaos disguised as thinking. But the moment you take a pen and commit your thoughts to paper, everything changes. Writing forces the mind to slow down. It forces you to choose words carefully. It strips away illusions and reveals what is really inside you. Writing is not about producing something beautiful or perfect. It's not about grammar, style, or whether anyone else will read it. Writing daily is about creating a mirror for your mind. When your ideas are on paper, they become visible. And when they're visible, they can be organized, questioned, and improved. Confusion shrinks when it's written down. A problem that seemed overwhelming in your head suddenly looks smaller on the page. Why? Because now it has boundaries. What is defined can be solved. What is written can be acted upon. This is why some of the greatest thinkers, philosophers, leaders, and creators in history kept journals. They weren't just recording events. They were sharpening their thoughts, testing their beliefs, and clarifying their emotions. Writing was not a hobby for them, it was mental training. Clarity is strength. And nothing strengthens clarity like writing your thoughts every single day. Imagine this. At the end of a stressful day, your head is spinning with what-ifs, worries, and half-formed ideas. You feel weighed down, but you don't know why. Then you open your notebook and write, "I'm worried about tomorrow's meeting. I'm still replaying that conversation. I feel like I wasted too much time today." Suddenly, the weight lifts. Why? Because those vague feelings have become concrete. And when they are concrete, you can deal with them. You can prepare for the meeting. You can forgive yourself for wasted time and commit to focus tomorrow. You can see your emotions instead of being trapped inside them. Writing daily is not just reflection, it is discipline. It is an exercise in patience. Every time you sit down to write, you train yourself to pause, to focus, to engage with your own mind instead of running past it. And this habit builds one of the most valuable strengths a person can have: self-awareness. When you write, you begin to notice patterns. You see that certain situations always trigger frustration. You realize you waste the most time at a certain hour. You discover that your biggest doubts repeat in different forms. None of these patterns are obvious when thoughts remain in your head. But on paper, they stand out in black and white. This is how writing makes you smarter, not by adding more knowledge, but by sharpening your ability to see yourself clearly. And when you see yourself clearly, you can direct your actions with precision. Another powerful benefit of writing is emotional stability. Thoughts left unspoken become heavy. They transform into anxiety, fear, and stress. But once written, they lose their power. Anger shrinks when described in words. Fear weakens when defined in sentences. Doubt fades when broken into pieces on paper. Writing creates distance between you and your emotions. Instead of being controlled by them, you control them. You don't drown in feelings. You examine them, learn from them, and move forward stronger. Daily writing also sharpens decision-making. When you're faced with a tough choice, the mind often spins in circles. But write it out. List the pros and cons, the risks and rewards, the possible outcomes, and clarity appears. You begin to see the decision not through emotion but through reason. This builds trust in yourself. You begin to believe in your own judgment, because you see that your thinking has been tested and clarified on paper. Every page becomes evidence that you are capable of making thoughtful, intelligent choices. The habit doesn't need hours. 5 to 15 minutes a day is enough to sharpen your mind. Set aside time in the morning to focus your direction, or at night to process your day. Don't worry about writing perfectly. Focus only on honesty. Write as if no one will ever read it, because this practice is for you, not for approval, not for validation. If you don't know what to write, start with questions. What did I learn today? What challenged me? What am I avoiding? What do I want to improve tomorrow? Questions unlock the mind. They lead to answers you didn't know you had. Over time, you'll notice that your writing evolves. At first, it may be simple observations, but gradually it becomes analysis, strategy, and insight. You begin to break down complex problems into simple steps. You learn to question your assumptions. You see opportunities where before you only saw obstacles. This is why writing is a practice for sharper thinking. Because it doesn't just capture your thoughts, it transforms them. When you write freely, creativity awakens. Connections appear between ideas that seemed unrelated. New insights surface from your subconscious. Many breakthroughs don't happen in forced brainstorming sessions. They happen quietly, in the act of reflection on paper. By writing daily, you give your mind space to explore. You unlock creative solutions, unexpected strategies, and insights that were hiding beneath the noise of daily life. And here's something even more powerful. Writing makes you a better communicator. The clearer you write, the clearer you speak. The clearer you speak, the more influence you carry in relationships, in work, and in life. Clarity in writing becomes clarity in living. Writing your thoughts daily may feel small. A page, paragraph, a sentence. But over time, these pages build into something extraordinary. They become a record of your growth, a roadmap of your evolution. Weeks from now, you'll look back and see how far you've come. You'll notice the doubts you've overcome, the lessons you've absorbed, the mistakes you've avoided repeating. You'll see yourself becoming sharper, calmer, and stronger. This is why daily writing is not a luxury. It is a necessity for anyone who wants to master their mind. Each sentence you write is a step toward clarity. Each page is a step toward discipline. And each day you commit to this practice, you move closer to becoming someone who not only thinks but thinks with precision, strength, and wisdom. So write today. Write tomorrow. Write until the habit is so deeply part of you that clarity becomes your natural state. Growth doesn't happen in giant leaps. It happens in small, steady steps. And one of the fastest ways to accelerate your growth is by mastering this principle. Learn one new skill every single day. Skills are the currency of progress. The more skills you collect, the more capable you become. The more capable you become, the more opportunities open. And the more opportunities you seize, the more powerful your life becomes. Think of skills as tools. The more tools in your hands, the fewer problems can intimidate you. Some people go through life with only a hammer, so every challenge looks like a nail. But the person who collects tools, skills in communication, problem-solving, leadership, creativity, can adapt to any situation. They don't break when life throws the unexpected at them. They bend, adjust, and keep moving forward. Life rewards adaptability. And adaptability is built on skills. When you commit to learning one new skill every day, you place yourself in the rhythm of progress. Some skills may be small and quick to learn, like a shortcut on your computer, a new word in another language, or a simple cooking technique. Others may take days or weeks to practice, like negotiation, coding, or drawing. But whether big or small, each skill is a deposit into your future strength. Imagine this: 365 days in a year, 365 new skills. That's 365 new tools that you didn't have before. Imagine how much more capable, more confident, more adaptable you would be. Most people don't fail in life because they're not smart enough. They fail because they stop growing. They get stuck in routines, repeating the same actions, never adding new abilities. But you will be different. You will feed your brain a new challenge every day, and that challenge will keep you sharp, alive, and ready. One of the greatest benefits of learning new skills is confidence. Each time you master something you couldn't do before, you prove to yourself that growth is possible. Confidence doesn't come from empty affirmations or hype. It comes from evidence that you can learn, adapt, and succeed. And the only way to collect that evidence is by practicing growth daily. When you know you're learning something new every day, self-doubt begins to fade. You no longer ask, "Am I capable?" You begin to answer, "Of course I am. I've been proving it daily." This mindset shift changes everything. You stop hesitating. You stop holding back. You step into challenges knowing that even if you don't have the answer today, you'll have the skill tomorrow. The world is changing faster than ever. Industries shift. Technology evolves. Opportunities come and go in months, not years. The people who thrive are not always the strongest or the most talented at the start. They are the ones who adapt quickly. And adaptability is nothing more than having a wide range of skills to pull from. If your car breaks down, a skill in basic repair saves time and money. If you travel abroad, knowing a few phrases in another language makes you feel at home. If a new software is introduced at work, you don't panic, you learn it faster than others because you're already trained in the discipline of daily skill building. Every skill makes you less dependent, less fragile, and less afraid of change. The more you learn, the more life bends in your favor. Start simple. Don't overwhelm yourself with complex skills on day one. Ask yourself, what small improvement would help me today? If you want to be healthier, learn a new exercise or cooking technique. If you want to grow professionally, practice a new software shortcut or study a communication skill. If you want stronger relationships, learn how to ask deeper questions or listen with more focus. The opportunities are endless. The point is not to master everything instantly. The point is to feed your brain something new every single day. Curiosity is your greatest guide. Explore areas that excite you, not just those that are useful. Learn to play a new instrument, to draw, to meditate, to garden. Even if these don't directly connect to your career, they expand your creativity and sharpen your brain. And creativity always finds its way back into your success. When you learn new skills, you often start as a beginner. You will make mistakes. You will stumble. You will feel clumsy. And that's good. Most people fear this stage. They hate looking inexperienced. But embracing the beginner's mindset is one of the greatest strengths you can develop. It humbles you. It builds resilience. And it teaches you patience. Over time, you stop fearing mistakes. You stop fearing judgment. You start to see failure not as proof of weakness, but as proof of growth. Every time you struggle with a new skill, you carving strength into your character. This is why learning daily makes you unstoppable, because you're constantly training yourself to be comfortable with discomfort. Here's a rule: whatever you learn, apply it the same day. If you learn a new word, use it in a conversation. If you learn a new cooking technique, make a meal with it. If you learn a productivity method, apply it to your schedule that very day. Knowledge that is not applied fades quickly, but when you act on it, it becomes part of who you are. Application turns theory into ability, and ability turns into confidence. Daily learning doesn't just transform you, it inspires those around you. People will notice your growth. They'll see that you're constantly improving, constantly curious, constantly sharpening yourself. This creates a ripple effect. Your commitment motivates others to grow. And together, you create an environment where progress becomes normal, where learning is valued, where complacency has no place. This ripple is powerful because it multiplies your growth. When others around you start improving too, you gain even more insights, more perspectives, more opportunities to expand. At first, learning a new skill daily may feel like effort. You'll need reminders, discipline, and focus. But over time, something magical happens. It becomes part of your identity. You stop seeing yourself as someone who tries to grow and start seeing yourself as someone who always grows. This identity is powerful because it eliminates excuses. You no longer wait for the perfect moment. You don't say, "I'll start when I have more time." You simply learn something today, and tomorrow, and the day after. Growth becomes who you are. And when growth becomes your identity, success becomes inevitable. The habit of learning one new skill daily is a decision to never remain the same. It is a promise to yourself. I will not stand still while the world moves forward. No matter your age, your background, or your current ability, every day you can add something new. Every day you can build a stronger, smarter, and more capable version of yourself. The skills you collect will stack, layer by layer, until one day you look back and realize, you are no longer the same person. You are sharper, more adaptable, more confident, and more alive. Learning is not about speed. It is not about perfection. It is about refusing to waste a single day without growth. So learn something today, learn something tomorrow, and watch as each small step builds a future so much greater than you ever imagined. Knowledge begins with answers, but wisdom begins with questions. The truth is, most people drift through life on autopilot. They accept things as they are. They repeat habits without thinking. They react to situations without asking why. And because they don't question, they don't grow. But the people who rise above the ordinary, the leaders, the innovators, the ones who think deeper and live smarter, they all share one common habit. They ask meaningful questions every single day. Questions open doors that answers cannot. They force the mind to dig deeper, to look beyond the surface, to explore the unseen. When you commit to asking meaningful questions daily, you stop living passively and begin living deliberately. The quality of your life is shaped by the quality of the questions you ask. Every question is an invitation to clarity. Every question forces the brain to search, to stretch, to discover. And when you practice asking powerful questions every single day, you train your mind to think critically, strategically, and with purpose. Instead of asking shallow questions like, "Why me?" you begin to ask empowering ones like, "What can I learn from this?" Instead of complaining, Why is life so unfair? You begin to ask, what can I do differently to change this situation? This small shift is massive. Because when your questions change, your perspective changes. And when your perspective changes, your entire life begins to shift. When you ask questions, you challenge assumptions. You stop taking everything at face value. You begin to look beneath the surface. Why did I react the way I did? What belief shaped my decision? How could I approach this differently next time? These questions turn experiences into lessons. They transform mistakes into opportunities. They take you from being a passenger in your own life to being the driver. Most conflicts, failures, and setbacks come not because people are incapable, but because they never question their own thinking. They never stop to ask if their assumptions were correct. But when you make questioning a daily habit, you develop mental flexibility. You become harder to fool, harder to manipulate, harder to trap. Because you don't just accept what you're told. You test it, examine it, and think it through. To ask questions is to admit that you don't know everything. And that is one of the most powerful forms of strength. Many people hide behind fake certainty. They pretend to have the answers. They protect their ego at all costs. But ego blocks growth. The curious person, the one who dares to ask, is the one who grows fastest. Because curiosity creates humility, and humility keeps the door to learning open. When you commit to asking questions daily, you stop fearing what you don't know. Instead, you embrace it. You begin to see ignorance not as weakness but as an opportunity. Every unanswered question is an invitation to grow stronger. Start your day with questions. Not shallow ones, but ones that set your focus. What matters most today? How do I want to show up in my work and relationships? What one thing can I do to move closer to my goals? And at night, ask reflective questions. What did I learn today? Where did I succeed? Where can I improve tomorrow? These questions create structure for your life. They keep you from drifting. They sharpen your focus. And they remind you daily that growth is not accidental, it's intentional. Meaningful questions aren't just for yourself, they're for others too. Most conversations in life are shallow. How are you? I'm fine. But meaningful questions unlock depth. When you ask someone, what inspires you? What challenges are you facing right now? What do you dream about when no one's watching? You move beyond small talk into real connection. People feel seen. They feel valued. And trust is built. This practice doesn't just make you smarter. It makes you more empathetic, more connected, and more human. When faced with obstacles, most people freeze. They complain. They get frustrated. But questions change the game. Instead of asking, why is this happening to me? You ask, what can I do right now to move forward? The first question keeps you stuck. The second question empowers you. Daily questioning trains you to focus on solutions instead of problems. It keeps your mind sharp, resilient, and ready to adapt. Questions also reveal your hidden patterns. Without reflection, you repeat the same mistakes. But with questions like, are my actions aligned with my values? Am I spending time on what truly matters? What habits are holding me back? You begin to uncover the truth about yourself. It's not always comfortable. Sometimes questions cut deep. But growth lives in those uncomfortable answers. The more you question yourself, the more self-aware you become. And self-awareness is the foundation of transformation. Here's a powerful practice. Write down your daily questions and answers. Weeks later, when you look back, you'll see how your thinking has evolved. You'll see how old questions gave birth to new ones. And you'll see your progress mapped in your own words. This becomes a personal record of growth, a reminder that wisdom is not gained in a single leap but through consistent curiosity, one question at a time. At first, asking questions daily may feel small, but over time, the difference is massive. Those who avoid questions remain stuck in cycles of confusion. Those who embrace questions expand, evolve, and rise. Questioning daily builds humility, sharpens thinking, improves problem-solving, deepens relationships, and strengthens vision. Keeps the mind alive, flexible, and open to new possibilities. Every day offers opportunities to ask. Every day offers opportunities to learn. And every day, the person who questions becomes wiser than the person who doesn't. Asking questions daily is not a burden. It's a privilege. It means you are alive, aware, and willing to grow. So ask today. Ask tomorrow. Ask until curiosity becomes your natural state. Because the more you question, the more you understand. And the more you understand, the more capable you become of shaping a life of wisdom, clarity, and power. Mistakes, failures, wrong turns. Most people spend their lives running from them, hiding them, or denying them. They fear mistakes because they see them as proof of weakness. But the truth is the exact opposite. Mistakes are not your enemy. Mistakes are your greatest teacher. Every error carries a lesson. Every failure carries data. Every setback carries the seeds of growth, if you have the courage to reflect on it. The strongest people are not those who never fall. They are the ones who fall, reflect, and rise wiser than before. That is the discipline you are about to master. Reflecting on mistakes daily. Reflection is where growth begins. When you take time at the end of each day to look back, not with guilt, not with shame, but with curiosity, you turn every mistake into fuel for your future. Ask yourself, where did I go wrong today? What decision led to that outcome? How can I handle it differently tomorrow? These are not questions of blame. They are questions of power. Because once you see the chain of choices that led to the mistake, you can break it. You stop repeating the same errors. You stop walking into the same traps. Without reflection, mistakes repeat. With reflection, mistakes teach. When you reflect honestly, you admit that you are human. You stop pretending to be perfect. And this humility is freeing. Growth doesn't come from pretending you have it all figured out. Growth comes from admitting you don't, and then doing the work to improve. Think about your own past. The times you grew the most weren't from easy victories. They came from setbacks that forced you to rethink, adapt, and rise stronger. Daily reflection accelerates this process. It allows you to extract wisdom not just from major failures, but from the small mistakes you make every day. Mistakes can sting. They can trigger anger, frustration, or shame. And the natural reaction is to avoid them, to bury them, to distract yourself. But avoidance robs you of growth. When you confront mistakes directly, something powerful happens. You take control of the emotions tied to them. You stop seeing them as proof of failure and start seeing them as feedback. You tell yourself, this doesn't define me, it teaches me. Over time, this perspective builds resilience. You stop fearing failure because you know that even if you stumble, you can turn the experience into wisdom. Set aside just a few quiet minutes each evening. Review your day. Ask, did I waste time that I could have used better? Did I let my emotions control me instead of staying calm? Did I make a choice that pushed me away from my goals instead of closer? Write these answers down. Don't judge yourself. Don't punish yourself. Just observe. And then ask the most important question. What can I do differently tomorrow? This is where the magic happens. You are not just analyzing the past, you are programming the future. Reflection without forgiveness becomes heavy. If you only criticize yourself, you will feel crushed by guilt. But reflection with forgiveness is powerful. It allows you to acknowledge the mistake, accept it, and then move forward with clarity. Forgive yourself while committing to improvement. Let the mistake go, but carry the lesson with you. This is how you stay light, focused, and motivated. Each mistake you analyze becomes data. Over time, you notice patterns. You realize that you lose focus in certain environments, that certain people influence you negatively, that certain situations make you act impulsively. With this awareness, you begin to anticipate. You see the traps before you walk into them. You make better choices because you've studied the cost of bad ones. Reflection transforms mistakes into a personal playbook for smarter decision-making. Reflection requires honesty, and honesty is not always comfortable. But facing reality is what builds discipline. When you reflect daily, you build the courage to face yourself without excuses. You learn to take responsibility instead of shifting blame. And this discipline makes you more powerful than 99% of people because most avoid it. This honesty becomes your secret weapon. It keeps you grounded, humble, and always improving. Mistakes don't just affect you, they affect the people around you. Maybe you spoke harshly to someone. Maybe you ignored someone's needs. Maybe you failed to listen. Daily reflection makes you notice these things. And when you notice, you can correct them. You can apologize, adjust, and grow. This not only makes you wiser, it makes you more trustworthy. People respect those who learn from their errors and grow. Every day you reflect, you sharpen your self-awareness. Every day you improve your decisions. Every day you strengthen your discipline. Individually, these reflections may feel small, but over months and years, they compound into massive growth. The person who reflects daily does not remain the same for long. They are constantly evolving, constantly refining, constantly sharpening themselves. Think of mistakes as teachers who show up daily. Some are small teachers reminding you not to waste time. Others are big teachers, shaking your life and forcing you to wake up. But the question is, are you listening? Reflection is how you sit in the classroom. Reflection is how you pay attention. Reflection is how you take notes and use the lesson. Without reflection, the teacher leaves and the lesson is wasted. With reflection, the lesson becomes part of you. Every evening gives you a choice. Deny your mistakes and stay the same, or reflect on them and grow stronger. Choose reflection. Choose humility. Choose to rise wiser tomorrow than you were today. Because the strongest people are not those who never fail. They are the ones who fail, reflect, and rise daily. In a noisy world, everyone wants to be heard. Everyone wants to speak. Everyone wants attention. But here's the secret. The most powerful people are not the ones who speak the loudest. They are the ones who listen the deepest. Most people think they are good listeners. But in truth, they only wait for their turn to speak. They nod. They give polite sounds. But their mind is already preparing a reply. That is not listening, that is pretending. True listening is different. True listening requires humility. It requires focus. It requires the discipline to silence your own thoughts long enough to fully understand another human being. When you practice this daily, everything in your life begins to shift. Your relationships grow stronger. Your influence expands. Your wisdom deepens. The rare skill of active listening is one of the fastest ways to separate yourself from the ordinary and rise into the extraordinary. Listening is not passive, it is active. It is a deliberate choice to give your full attention, your full presence, and your full respect to another person. When you listen deeply, you are saying, "You matter. Your words have value. I am here with you." And this simple act transforms every interaction. Because people rarely feel heard. They live in a world of noise, interruption, and distraction. But when they meet someone who truly listens, they remember it. They trust that person. They open up, and they connect. So how do you listen actively? First, you show presence. When someone speaks, put down your phone. Stop multitasking. Face them directly. Make eye contact. Let your body language communicate attention. Second, you respond with intention. Listening is not silence alone. It's showing the speaker that you're following. Nod. Say, "I understand." Repeat back a phrase to confirm. Ask clarifying questions, not to interrogate, but to uncover meaning. Questions like, "Can you tell me more about that? How did that make you feel?" These simple actions show genuine interest. Third, you resist the urge to interrupt. Even when you disagree, hold back. Let them finish. Listen fully before you respond. This discipline builds trust and maturity. Active listening is not just about words, it's about everything between the words. The pause before someone speaks, the shift in their tone, the look in their eyes, the drop in their shoulders. Often, the truth is not in the sentence. It's in the silence before the sentence. When you listen for these signals, you see people more deeply than most ever do. You begin to understand not just what they say, but what they mean. This depth of understanding is what turns conversations into connections. In professional life, active listening is one of the most underrated superpowers. Leaders who listen earn loyalty. Colleagues who listen earn cooperation. Entrepreneurs who listen to customers build better businesses. The truth is, opportunities flow to those who listen, because people naturally trust and respect them. Every career, every business, every relationship is built on human connection. And listening is the foundation of connection. When you listen deeply, you begin to see the world through another person's eyes. You feel their struggles, their fears, their hopes. This does not mean you must agree with everything, but it does mean you understand. And that understanding creates empathy. Empathy is what holds strong relationships together. Without it, connections remain shallow. With it, they become unbreakable. Here's the challenge. Practice active listening at least once every single day. Could be with a family member, a friend, a colleague, even a stranger. Pick one conversation and decide, today, I will listen fully. At first, it may feel forced. You may notice how quickly your mind wants to jump in, interrupt, or wander. But with practice, it becomes natural. Soon, people will begin to notice. They will say things like, I feel like you really understand me. They will trust you more. They will seek you out. And in a world where trust is rare, that makes you invaluable. There's another hidden benefit. When you listen more, you learn more. Every person you meet knows something you don't. Every conversation carries a story, a perspective, a piece of wisdom. But if you are always speaking, you are trapped in what you already know. When you listen, you expand your world. This is why listening is not just a social skill, it's an intelligence-building habit. It sharpens your understanding of people, of life, of patterns. It gives you access to knowledge that no book or lecture could give. The discipline of listening doesn't just transform your relationships. It transforms you. You become calmer. Because instead of rushing to reply, you learn to pause. You become wiser. Because you are constantly absorbing perspectives beyond your own. You become more respected. Because people can sense when you value them deeply. Listening turns ordinary interactions into meaningful connections. And meaningful connections are the foundation of a meaningful life. Everyone is shouting. Everyone is trying to be noticed. Everyone is competing to be heard. But you will be different. You will be the rare person who listens. And because of that, you will stand out. People will remember you. People will trust you. People will follow you. Because in the end, influence does not belong to the loudest voice. Influence belongs to the quietest ear. Knowledge is powerful. Skills are valuable. Reflection is necessary. But there is one habit that transforms all of them into mastery. Teaching what you know every single day. Teaching is not about showing off. It's not about proving how smart you are. Teaching is about deepening your own understanding by sharing it with others. Because here's the truth. You don't really know something until you can explain it simply. When you take what you've learned and give it to someone else in a way they can understand, your mind is forced to organize it, clarify it, and strengthen it. Teaching is the ultimate test of your knowledge and the fastest way to grow smarter. Every time you teach, you discover how much you truly understand. You might think you know a concept until you try to explain it. Suddenly, you realize there are gaps, places where your thinking isn't clear, questions you can't answer. That is the gift of teaching. It reveals your blind spots. It shows you where you need to improve. And once you fix those gaps, your knowledge becomes unshakable. This is why teachers, leaders, and mentors grow so quickly. Because every lesson they give strengthens their own mind. When you teach, you cannot hide behind complexity. You cannot drown people in jargon. You must simplify, and simplification forces clarity. When you can explain something in plain words without confusion, that's when you truly own it. So each time you teach, even if it's something small, you sharpen your ability to think clearly, communicate effectively, and solidify your knowledge. Teaching daily also creates accountability. When you commit to sharing knowledge, you must keep learning yourself. You must keep growing so you have something valuable to give. This creates a rhythm. You learn, then you teach. And teaching sparks new questions which drive you to learn more. It becomes a cycle of continuous improvement that compounds daily. Another hidden benefit. Teaching multiplies your impact. When you share what you know, you're not just improving yourself, you're improving others. You plant seeds of growth in them. Seeds that ripple outward into their choices, their actions, their future. Your influence expands far beyond you, and with it comes trust, respect, and leadership. People naturally look up to those who teach, not because they demand authority, but because they give value freely. This is how leaders are built. Not by titles, but by teaching. You don't need a classroom to teach. You don't need a stage. You don't need a formal audience. Teaching can happen in the smallest moments. Explaining a productivity tip to a colleague. Showing a family member a skill you just learned. Sharing a piece of wisdom with a friend. These small acts count. Each time you share, you reinforce your own learning. And over time, these small lessons accumulate into extraordinary growth. Here's a powerful rule. If you can't explain it simply, you don't fully understand it yet. So challenge yourself daily. Take something you learned and explain it to someone else in the simplest way possible. If you stumble, go back and study. If you succeed, you know the lesson is truly yours. This is how teaching transforms knowledge into mastery. Teaching also builds patience. Not everyone learns at the same pace. When you teach, you must adapt. You must slow down, repeat, find new ways of explaining until it clicks. This trains your empathy. It stretches your ability to see from another's perspective. And that awareness makes you not just a better teacher, but a better thinker, a better leader, and a better human being. When you teach, you must stay present. You cannot drift. You cannot half listen. Teaching forces you into full concentration on the subject, on the listener, on the process. This discipline of focus strengthens your mind in every area of life. Because the same ability to stay present while teaching is the ability to stay present in work, relationships, and challenges. Teaching daily doesn't require hours. Even 5 minutes is enough. One idea, one insight, one lesson. Do this every day, and not only will your knowledge expand, you will also build a reputation. People will begin to see you as someone who adds value, someone who lifts others, someone who helps them grow. That reputation creates influence, and influence creates opportunity. The greatest benefit of teaching is that it multiplies beyond you. Every person you teach carries your lesson forward. They apply it, they share it, they build upon it. Your growth becomes their growth. Your progress becomes their progress. This is how you create impact that outlives you. By teaching daily, you don't just grow smarter, you help others rise with you. And that is the mark of true mastery. Reading feeds the mind. Listening opens it. Reflection strengthens it. Teaching multiplies it. But there is one habit that polishes your thinking like nothing else. Writing daily. Writing is not just about putting words on a page. It is a form of thinking, a discipline of clarity, a way to catch thoughts that would otherwise drift away. Most people underestimate writing because they see it as an academic chore or a professional skill. But writing is much more. Writing is a tool for sharpening intelligence, organizing ideas, and building a sharper version of yourself, one sentence at a time. When you write, you slow down your thoughts. You force vague ideas into clear words. You separate noise from meaning. This process alone makes you smarter. Because until a thought is written, it often remains half-formed. But when written, it becomes visible. And when visible, it can be improved. Writing is like polishing a rough stone into a diamond. Your ideas may start unshaped, unclear. But through writing, they take form. They gain clarity. They gain strength. Think of writing as exercise for the brain. Just as lifting weights strengthens muscles, writing strengthens thought. Every sentence you form is a rep. Every page is a workout. Over time, your ability to think clearly, logically, and creatively becomes stronger. You don't need to write essays or books. Even a single page of journaling, reflection, or brainstorming sharpens the mind. There is a hidden power in writing. It locks knowledge into memory. When you read or listen, your brain absorbs information passively. But when you write it, you process it actively. You organize it, rephrase it, and connect it to what you already know. This cements it into your long-term memory. That's why students who take notes remember more. That's why leaders who journal see patterns more clearly. Writing doesn't just capture ideas, it engraves them into your mind. How many times have you felt overwhelmed by thoughts swirling in your head? Worries, plans, ideas all colliding at once. Writing clears the fog. By putting thoughts on paper, you declutter the mind. You reduce anxiety. You see what's real and what's just noise. This clarity is priceless, because a clear mind makes sharper decisions, faster progress, and calmer living. Writing daily also builds discipline, trains you to sit, focus, and create, even when you don't feel like it. This discipline spills into other areas of life. The patience you build in writing becomes patience in problem solving. The persistence you practice in finishing a page becomes persistence in finishing projects. The habit of writing daily makes you not just smarter, but stronger. There's another gift: creativity. When you write freely, new connections appear. Ideas you didn't know you had rise to the surface. Problems you couldn't solve suddenly reveal answers. Writing taps into the subconscious. It gives your hidden thoughts a voice. And often, your greatest insights appear not when you force them, but when you write and let them flow naturally. You don't need to write perfectly. You don't even need to write for others. This habit is for you. Journal your reflections at the end of the day. Write down goals in the morning. Capture insights from books or conversations. Draft letters you'll never send, just to process emotions. It doesn't matter what you write. What matters is that you write. The more you write, the better you communicate. Writing sharpens language, and language sharpens thought. The clearer your words, the clearer your mind. This clarity gives you an advantage in every area: work, relationships, leadership. People respect those who can express ideas with precision. At first, writing may feel small. A page, paragraph, a few sentences. But like all powerful habits, the effect compounds. One page today becomes a journal full of lessons tomorrow. 1 year of writing becomes a personal library of your growth. And decades of writing become a legacy of wisdom you can pass to others. Daily writing doesn't announce itself with loud results. It works quietly, slowly, patiently. But one day you'll notice. You'll notice that your thoughts are sharper, your memory stronger, your communication clearer, your decisions wiser. You'll realize that writing has transformed you, not by chance, but by discipline. So start today. Don't wait. Don't worry about perfection. Just write. Write a sentence. Write a page. Write what you feel, what you learned, what you hope for. And do it again tomorrow, and the day after. Because each word you write is a step toward clarity. Each page is a step toward wisdom. And each day of writing is a step toward becoming the sharpest, strongest version of yourself. If you want to stay sharp for life, you cannot let your beliefs remain untested. Most people live with assumptions they never question. They inherit ideas from family, culture, or society, and accept them as truth. But beliefs are like walls. They can protect you or they can trap you. The only way to grow is to test them. To ask, is this true? Does this serve me? Or is this limiting me? Challenging your beliefs daily does not make you weaker. It makes you flexible. And mental flexibility is the secret weapon of the smartest people in the world. Every decision you make is built on a belief. Beliefs about who you are. Beliefs about what's possible. Beliefs about how the world works. If those beliefs are outdated, your decisions will be weak. But if those beliefs are tested, refined, and updated, your decisions will be wise. That's why smart people treat beliefs like tools. They sharpen them constantly. It takes courage to question your own beliefs. Because beliefs are comfortable. They give a sense of certainty. But comfort is not growth. Growth requires stepping into the unknown. And when you challenge your own thinking, you force your mind to stretch. This is how you avoid becoming rigid, bitter, or stuck. You learn to adapt. You learn to think beyond yourself. You learn to embrace truth, even when it's uncomfortable. Imagine a software program that never updates. It becomes slow, full of bugs, unable to keep up with new challenges. Your mind is the same. If your beliefs never evolve, they become outdated. What served you at May 15th limit you at 35. What was true in the past may not be true today. By testing beliefs daily, you keep your mental software updated, fast, and strong. When you question your beliefs, you train critical thinking. You stop taking things at face value. You analyze evidence. You look for biases. You learn to separate fact from opinion. This habit makes you a sharper decision-maker because you're no longer guided by blind acceptance. You're guided by deliberate reasoning. Smart people know this truth. The more you learn, the more you realize how much you don't know. When you challenge beliefs daily, you become humble. You admit that your view of the world is partial, incomplete, and always growing. This humility doesn't make you weak. It makes you powerful. Because humility keeps you learning while arrogance keeps you stuck. Life is unpredictable. If your beliefs are rigid, change will break you. If your beliefs are flexible, change will shape you. When you challenge your assumptions daily, you prepare yourself for uncertainty. You develop the mental flexibility to adapt, pivot, and respond with strength. This resilience is what separates those who thrive from those who collapse. How do you challenge beliefs daily? Ask yourself, why do I believe this? Seek out people with different perspectives. Read books that challenge your worldview. Notice where your assumptions clash with reality. The goal is not to abandon every belief, but to test them. To keep what is strong, discard what is weak, and refine what can be improved. The greatest innovators were belief challengers. They asked, what if the world doesn't work the way everyone assumes? And from that question came inventions, revolutions, and breakthroughs. Every time you challenge a belief, you open the door to creativity. You allow your mind to see patterns, connections, and solutions that others miss. At first, challenging your beliefs may feel uncomfortable. But over time, it becomes liberating. You stop fearing new ideas. You stop clinging to outdated habits. You stop confusing certainty with truth. Instead, you live with curiosity. You think with clarity. And you grow without limits. Belief challenging is not about doubting everything. It's about sharpening everything. Each day you question, you get closer to truth. Each day you refine, you get closer to wisdom. And over time, this discipline transforms you into someone with a flexible, powerful mind, capable of adapting to any situation, solving complex problems, and thriving in uncertainty. If you want to grow fast, don't just rely on your own mind. Connect with minds sharper than yours. Surrounding yourself with intelligent, disciplined people daily is like stepping into a gym for your brain. Their ideas, habits, and energy challenge you to rise higher. Every conversation with someone smarter than you is a shortcut to wisdom. You become like the people you spend the most time with. If you surround yourself with lazy people, you become lazy. If you surround yourself with disciplined people, you become disciplined. If you surround yourself with smart people, you become smarter. This is not opinion, it's environment. And environment always wins. Being around smart people exposes you to their patterns. How they manage time. How they solve problems. How they think about challenges. You begin to mirror these habits without even realizing it. This is how growth accelerates, not just by learning information, but by absorbing discipline. You don't always need direct access to genius minds. You can connect in many ways. Read biographies of great thinkers. Listen to interviews with innovators. Join communities where intelligent conversations happen. Seek mentors, peers, or friends who inspire you. Every interaction is fuel. Every connection is a spark. When you spend time with smart people, you not only grow yourself, you also inspire others. You raise the standard of your environment. You become part of a cycle of collective growth. And this ripple effect keeps your motivation alive long after the conversation ends. 1 year of connecting with smart people daily will make you unrecognizable. Your thinking sharper. Your decisions clearer. Your confidence stronger. Because every day you're not just learning, you're accelerating. You now understand a powerful truth. Becoming smarter every day is not about luck, talent, or waiting for the perfect moment. It is about the choices you make daily. Small, consistent actions that sharpen your mind, discipline your emotions, and expand your perspective. Greatness is not built in a single day. It is built in the repetition of small, intelligent choices made every day, until they compound into something extraordinary. The smartest minds are not the busiest. They are the clearest. Mindfulness is the discipline of returning to the present moment, training your mind not to wander endlessly, but to focus on what matters now. When you practice mindfulness daily, you teach your brain to notice thoughts without drowning in them. Stress loses its grip. Anxiety fades. Decisions become clearer. Every mindful breath is a reminder. You are here, you are aware, and you are in control. Mindfulness doesn't require silence in a mountain cave. It requires presence where you are. Focus fully when reading. Listen deeply in conversations. Walk slowly, noticing your surroundings. Work with attention, one task at a time. Each small act of mindfulness strengthens clarity like a blade being sharpened. Over time, your mind becomes calmer, sharper, and far more powerful than the scattered, distracted minds around you. Mistakes are not failures. They are data. They are feedback. They are teachers. The only real failure is refusing to learn. Every mistake you make today holds a lesson for tomorrow. If you take time daily to reflect on errors, you transform them into wisdom. You stop repeating old patterns. You build stronger habits. Mistakes humble you, but they also strengthen you, if you have the courage to face them. At the end of each day, ask yourself, where did I go wrong? Why did it happen? What will I do differently next time? This small act of reflection is the difference between someone who repeats mistakes forever and someone who grows stronger every day. Growth is built on momentum, and momentum is built on recognizing progress, even the smallest kind. Most people ignore small victories, waiting for big milestones before they celebrate. But the truth is, big wins are just small wins stacked together. By celebrating small wins daily, you train your brain to stay motivated, persistent, and focused. When you acknowledge your progress, you reinforce the habit that created it. You teach yourself, this works. Keep going. It doesn't need to be grand. A small smile, a note in your journal, a moment of gratitude. Every small celebration builds energy for the next step. Now you see the roadmap. 25 habits, each simple but powerful. Together, they form a daily system of growth that makes you smarter, sharper, and stronger every day. Reading feeds your mind. Writing clarifies your thoughts. Reflection strengthens wisdom. Teaching reinforces learning. Connecting with smart people accelerates growth. Mindfulness builds clarity. Mistakes teach resilience. Celebrating small wins fuels momentum. Each habit alone is powerful, but together they create transformation. The question is no longer, can I become smarter every day? The question is, will I commit to it? Because intelligence is not a gift. It is a choice. It is a discipline. It is the result of showing up daily with habits that compound into mastery. If you commit to these habits, not for a week, not for a month, but for a lifetime, you will become someone unrecognizable to your old self. Someone sharper, wiser, calmer, and far more capable. So here is your challenge. Start today. Pick one habit. Practice it. Then add another. And another. Stack them. Repeat them. Live them. Because your life will not change in a single day. But it will change with daily discipline. One book. One reflection. One act of mindfulness. One small win. Stacked daily. Repeated endlessly. Compounded forever. This is your time. Your chance. Your moment to take control of your mind. Don't let another day drift away. Build smarter habits. Build a The choice is yours.